Hello, everybody, and welcome to Launchpad 2.5. If you don't know, last week we had a team win a match, but then end up forfeiting. And so, because of that, now our whole bracket is messed up. So, this is actually the LCQ for Liftoff. This team will be qualifying and being thrown into the losers bracket for Liftoff. But of course, I'm joined today by Dendar. Dendar, how's it going? And why don't you tell us a little bit about these teams?
It's going pretty well, but this game might not be going so well for one of these teams because we do see a lot of high damage picks coming out. We're going to have Night Market be the map, and the starting awakenings being Heavy Impact and Chrono Boost. Now, Chrono Boost, we do see some characters like Era being picked up by Second Wind with their composition of Atlas, Juliet, and Era, which Era did receive some slight slap on the wrist nerf in that micro patch, but with Chrono Boost start, that is definitely a great pickup. Their ban, of course, being now, denying that from the enemy team with that heavy impact could have been very deadly. Juliet getting a heavy impact, always a good time, especially on Nightmarker, where there are a lot of times you're going to be looking for those dash punches. But Dragon Bite, on the other hand, has gone full damage. We see Finny, Zentaro, and Kai being the last pickup here. Kai, I have to assume, is for Striker Kai, living up to their name. They have banned Kazan. Now, Kazan being a great pick by the player named Chaotic, but also one that is constantly banned away from them. So, with these two teams, I'm expecting a ton of damage, and honestly, we'll have to see if Atlas can keep that team up and if they can keep it around the field, letting Juliet do her job, or if Finny's going to misdirect them into the blast zone.
That's right. Yes, indeed. Well, to Night Market we go, and we'll have to see how these two teams play. I mean, Night Market is a map that's been in the game for a very long time. Of course, many teams familiar with it, even pioneering compositions based on this map, such as the X era Mako, which we've seen so many teams play throughout the years. But of course, these compositions a little bit different, and these awakenings play a pretty big deal, as you mentioned. I mean, Kai Finny Zentaro from Dragon Bite, of course, is going to be so deadly. We've seen Finny and just the ability when you smoke someone to just pile on that damage combined with heavy impact. I think we're in for a doozy, and these players are going to have to fight for their lives in these two lanes.
Absolutely. It will be a little tough because even something as simple as the Kai Barrage, when you have that secondary on them, like you mentioned, can do just so much damage. Even something that like a 1-2 punch on that Kai, maybe it's a deny for the other team, but suddenly just turns into a railgun. But we are getting straight into this game where the two teams are just loading in, but on Night Market, one thing we're going to be looking a lot for is that speed gate control. And when you have a lot of damage, that may be one place where you are funneling some of that damage. But right now, the core is being funneled to Name Chaotic. But honestly, with Light Sky on this back half helping Tomotako having the Atlas now, but with some buffs to that Atlas, allowing them to have that astral projection go a little bit farther into the future, as Aesop would say. So we'll have to see if that extra pressure can help him alongside the starting choice of Strike Shot, giving a ton of range to that Atlas. But right now, we're seeing if they can stretch the range or whether or not this barrier is going to go down.
That's right. Something worth looking out for this game is Name Chaotic and Dave. You're going to see so many times where this Finny goalie just has to rely on these creations. So an up close and personal brawler like Julie, played by Name Chaotic, is going to be difficult to break out of and to save it. And look how much damage Striker Kai has taken off the map. Name Chaotic looking for the shot into the bottom corner, and a nice clear by Dave will keep things alive for a little bit longer. But that pressure from the strike shot, the Night Market angle almost finding its mark. And we're resetting back to neutral here as Kai finally comes back. But Ashy Burb is pretty low. And now you have to deal with this speed boost coming out. There's the dribble, the KO on the goalie. Name Chaotic now sitting in the net. Striker Kai and Ashy Burb forced to hold this down, and they're doing a good job. The dribble saved away by the barrage. The core flip might keep things alive for a little bit longer. Should Ashy have to need it, but it seems like everything's okay.
It's certainly a little challenging because they are doing a great job of playing possession, even in that power play scenario where they don't want to rush the play. They just want to let it happen naturally. They don't want to try to go for something extravagant and then just have it blow up in their face. But we did see that dash punch take out Dave earlier. If they keep positioning towards that net, that could be very catastrophic for their team. But right now, Light Sky with the assist, trying to get it up to Name Chaotic, Tomotako trying to put some pressure forward. It looks like this midfield is being handled pretty well. Ashburn does have this flip, though. The energy economy is available. But with that barrier finally going down, we might see a change in the tempo of this game.
That's right. Dave has to be careful with these projectiles. And there's Ash. He misses the top corner. It was completely open there. Had an opportunity to break through Tomotaco, but instead opting not to use it as Light Sky and Name Chaotic trying to find the pass upfield as Ashy with the self pass gets sent away. And now Name Chaotic with that energy economy, as you mentioned earlier, has the opportunity to find one up in the top corner if Light Sky is able to get the core to him. Light Sky looking for the pass and it's burned away. A good strike there by Striker Kai, who's doing such a good job controlling the midfield. Getting it past the Spinny secondary, and a great job with that card, but a better read from Name Chaotic. Finds the punch into the bottom of the net. Dave picks wrong for once this game.
It's funny to watch Name Chaotic play characters that aren't Kazan, because that almost felt like something that he would do on Kazan, where he uses the dash to slip in with the extended strike there being that primary. So a great goal by them. But this is an important one to win if you are the side of second win, because with those damage characters available, there's so many awakenings that could potentially scale them to the sky, and you just have to be so ready for that. But right now, Dave is walking up to help, even in this 2v3, letting them have a little bit more presence in this midfield rather than just saying their pleasantries and hoping that the side of second win can't get anything going. But with Striker Kai back and with one barrier available, we'll have to see if they can turn this around or keep it in their favor.
Yeah, these brawlers are doing work right now in these forward positions. We've seen Name Chaotic with 2 KOs already, and Tomotaco forced to lock this down. A nice pass up to Ashibird, but that strike shot is just doing such a good job at generating this forward pressure. White Sky now with the Maelstrom, but Ashibird just flying in, and a nice save from Tomotaco. The passing is just not getting it done, and Dave locking down the barrier for a little bit. But that's too much to deal with, and now it's all 3 players stuck on the side of Dragon Bite. The barrage not enough to send it through just yet. You have to be careful of that core speed as we approach overtime. Tomotaco now without the secondary is the opportunity for Dragon Bite to break through the second win defense. And there's the ult sent back again. And Striker Kai almost loses his life off the bottom.
These rounds seem like they're going a little bit slow, but because it seems like neither side can really get an edge on each other. Ashibird gets it into that top edge of the net, but at the same time, these rounds seem like they are really, really going back and forth. It's hard to tell who's keeping up, but the other problem is when you have a situation like this where tensions are high, you have one last chance to get in to the Liftoff qualifier, right? But the problem is that this isn't like a regular tournament where you've had a couple games to warm up. You might be cold. Name Chaotic showed up last second. We don't know how practiced this team is, or either of these teams. So you really have to make every opportunity count. And right now they are trying to do that, getting it into the hands of Name Chaotic to get this goal.
Yeah, nice save there once again. But we see a barrier standing from second win. They have the opportunity to do it, and there it is, the secondary burned. Striker Kai and Ashy trying to find and read these clears. It's so difficult with that speed buff from Era, constantly being outpaced from the other team. And a nice pass avoids the strike shot, but the core flip will come out to save the net once again. White Sky is a menace right now for this Dragon Bite offense, and a great dash punch read from Dave. Gets rid of those 2 barriers as Name Chaotic is being chunked down. So hard to find anything here as Dave does have this core flip. Name Chaotic on low HP looking for the KO. The ult comes out, but the Era speed buff helps keep things alive as the core almost drifts through, and the barrage misread yet again. Both these teams don't have the stuffing capability, and there's a KO. We might see Dragon Bite capitalize on this. Core is moving so quickly because it's overtime though. White Sky trying to pass things up. There's the barrage from Striker Kai. Tomotaco caught without that secondary, and there's another goal for Dragon Bite, but not easily earned.
Certainly not easily earned, and honestly, that great presence by Striker Kai, always in the midfield, ready to help their team, even on the offense and the defense. Doesn't matter what situation they are in. It feels like they're always there, ready to back up Ashibird. Right now, Ashibird has taken both barriers with the flip. The energy is gone. However, now we have to see if they have the energy to bring this back, as with these rounds going long, we've started to see that damage start to pile up on these players. You know, Name Chaotic we saw take a ton of damage. Light Sky taking some damage of their own. Dave still has their flip available. The resources are starting to pile up here, and it piles up into the bottom side of that net as they do get that goal around Light Sky and Tomotaco.
Yeah, that's a great find from Striker Kai there. We saw three points in a row during that set, both barriers taken with yet a single strike. And now we see with these new awakenings being rotated back into the game, of course, Catalyst as well as both of the Orb Dancers and Orb abilities. We'll have to see if these two teams decide to lean into this sort of new meta. But Tomotako picking up Twin Drive is a huge pickup for the defensive second wind.
That is most certainly a massive pickup. The stacks on stacks pick with these rounds going long could certainly get stacked up fairly well, but that twin drive is going to be so difficult to get around. And with the catalyst going to Era, that's a ton of energy. But we do see explosive entrance going to Ashyburb as well as 1-2 punch going to Dave. 1-2 punch is going to make that secondary hit like a truck if you stay in it. And even the occasional misdirection, some of those clears might turn into damage opportunities. As even with just that ult, Named Chaotic is at half health. We have to see how this damage is going to come through, or whether or not the extra energy and the unstoppable being picked up by Named Chaotic is going to be able to keep that team alive.
Yeah, Tomotako finally forced to use that ult there as Ashyburb with the Oni's Blade able to get that one through. But Striker Kai is low HP, standing on the bottom side of Named Chaotic, almost a death wish, and there it is, taken off the map, this time off the back of the net. As we see the flip come out with that Catalyst, Ashyburb able to help out in the defense, but one barrier falls before Striker Kai can come back. But oh no, Tomotako misses that, and almost the projectile gets it through. But both these teams approaching low on Stagger, a nice clear away to avoid the Maelstrom. As Named Chaotic playing their life as Ashyburb just steals the orbs.
Playing their life for sure, but Light Sky is playing this midfield exceptionally well, holding it down while Named Chaotic tries to find an opportunity just to survive, maybe get that unstoppable back up. The tornado is coming through. The flip is not burned. They were in a safe enough spot to be okay. But with two flips available and Striker Kai running up on this offense, we have to see whether or not Ashyburb can get up here with that flip to create an opportunity, or whether or not Light Sky and Tomotako are going to be able to hold it down with some great clears just like that.
Yeah, but the core flip threading the needle. I was about to say Striker Kai needs to get on midfield and try to pass it up to Ashyburb, but finally the Zentaro gets a piece of it and sends it into the top of the net, splitting the defense. That's really what you have to do, and this energy economy is going to be so important, as we see Light Sky already gets their core flip so quickly and uses it for an insta-kill. This is a huge power play. Both the forward and midfielder from Dragonbite are gone, and it's just Dave with a core flip and a dream looking to defend, and it won't be used. Light Sky off the pass from Named Chaotic finds the bottom of the net, and we're even in set number 2.
The team comp may not be suited to damage, but kills like that, like you said, are what they are looking for here. That dash punch securing a kill, and the flip getting a sort of consequential kill, and at that point it was just pleasantries until the ball finally did go in. But here, we did mention that Ashyburb, Striker Kai was a little far forward there, but with that explosive entrance, they do have that midfield presence that they didn't prior. However, on Night Market, we do have these walls that cause a couple incidents with that Zentaro secondary, and even sometimes the ult in my experience. But right now, Named Chaotic is trying to get something happening, but on this defense, they've been holding it down. This twin drive for Tomotako has been fantastic. And I've even seen the extra energy for Light Sky, like we saw earlier with that KO. If those can keep piling up, we can keep making this dream come to life. But right now, 2 barriers up for the side of Dragonbite and 0 for Second Wind. They're going to need a second wind in this round if they want to survive.
That's right, and we see the ult coming out, almost finding its mark. Tomotako mixing it up, doesn't want to clear up there, as of course both strikers from Dragonbite were up top of there. Now Named Chaotic has the flip, has an opportunity to take the second barrier, but of course would much rather burn it to take the goal and secure it if necessary. And there's the second barrier burned. The core cleared away and almost off the Night Market angle. A beautiful catch by Ashyburb, able to send that one down. A quick read there, and of course a necessary one for Dragonbite to get their second goal and put themselves on set point once again.
Those were some scary bounces on that last goal, but a great catch, like you said. And that twin drive, well, we said it has been helping out there. It was just out of reach. Maybe if we see a Creation Awakening come through, they'll be able to stand in those spots and be able to catch those cores. But you really don't want to go down 2-0 right here, especially against a damage comp where you haven't gotten that much time to scale. You have some defensive awakenings, like that Unstoppable and that Catalyst, but they're just going to get more and more oppressive on you. A great save there. But realistically, especially, you don't want to be down 0-2 because this is a best of one. You get one shot, one opportunity, And right now, it's looking like it's in the hands of Dragon Bite unless second win can make something happen here.
Yeah, slight misread there. This barrier own gold as well by Dave. Now you have to fight up top, trying to compete against this Aero Speed. Striker Kai burns all their abilities, and now with the Maelstrom to deal with, almost gets taken off the top of the map. There's this entire all coming through. Striker Kai with a beautiful interception, putting themselves one set away from winning this entire game and moving forward to this LCQ finals. We'll have to see what awakenings pop up here, as we might see a recovery drone or a quick strike picked away from this Zentara, but we do see Orb Dancer, so we'll have to see if any of the goalies opt for this.
This is a scary situation with this draft because now you have Catalyst Quick Strike era. Light Sky was already holding it down in this midfield, and now they are getting practically double the energy for what they are doing. The Rampage being the pickup for Zentaro is interesting here, in my opinion, because Stinger, while it was nerfed, would certainly be a huge source of damage. It looks like Striker Kai going for that size, but also the denial on the recovery drone, making Name Chaotic go for this Reptile Remedy, a reasonable choice to keep you alive, and I believe it was buffed, but at the same time, it's not quite, I feel, what you're looking for in this situation, but it's what you're going to have to take, as right now, the last pick there of Orb Dancer, like you mentioned, one of the goalies did show interest in it, and they did take it, but right now, you might not have time to get that ability to run around, even if you grab those orbs, because it feels like this offense is so oppressive from Dragon Bite, and with these extra awakenings that they have picked up, it feels like it's going to continue to be that way.
That's right, the extra size about to dominate the midfield. We see Striker Kai already outsizing this era by almost double, and fairly even once the era debuff is applied there. Tomotako trying to lock it down, but gets stunned away by Ashiburb. So hard to play against this Zentaro, but a quick breakaway from Name Chaotic. Unfortunately, not able to be put to use, and the core flip does not find its mark, and there's the ult to save things once again. This sort of defensive mixture coming out from Dragon Bite has been so successful, and we see it pushing through once again. Tomotako not able to break free, and that core flip finding its mark. 2 points away for Dragon Bite to make it to the finals, and second win has to step it up.
Well, right now they are stepping up to this midfield, but even with Unstoppable on Name Chaotic, they have been tagged by that secondary. So if they are not careful, that could be a huge amount of damage, but they do manage to slip out, and the Unstoppable is back, but so is that debuff. It feels like they're being matched one for one. Name Chaotic has to play their life, has to just hope the Light Sky with that extra energy and the quick strikes can get it to them, because if they step back, they might be asking for a world of hurt, but Light Sky is the one that's hurting here, as the barriers are go down, but so is their health bar, and so is the core into their net with an unfortunate secondary from Tomotako.
Yeah, that's so difficult. There's just so many cooldowns being thrown your way from these different abilities. We see Striker Kai and Ashiburb just absolutely dumping everything they have onto Tomotako. And of course, that cooldown is so long, even with Twin Drive. They have 4 orbs, but not much to show from it. We see the core flip coming through, immediately blocked away by Striker Kai without any effort. And there's one barrier about to fall, and the second one saved again. Striker Kai accidentally hits it into the center and takes their own barrier here. But we do have the core flip stunned away instead by Name Chaotic, and Dave will hold on to it. But there is a shot for second win.
That was a great collapse there, but with that flip available, even when you get 1 point, like you said, Dave, having this defensive security, almost like an insurance package, saying, yeah, you got 1 point, but let's see you get another. We've been saving this one. So we'll have to see if that comes back to bite them and they can score a few more points here, or whether or not that flip will end up being the nail in the coffin. With this tornado coming up, they are able to secure 1 barrier, but it's the bottom side one here, as No Name Chaotic is posturing. Looked almost like they were looking for a dash punch there, but right now they are just looking to get some goals as the real focus here. But the great midfield presence by Dave there with the secondary, able to at least make the play a little more chaotic. But right now, Tomotako has to hold it down. That twin drive first shot was used. I believe that was the second one here. We just have to see if they can hold it down with the help of Light Sky and get it to Name Chaotic, or whether or not this is going to be the last point of this game.
And they have to get it out of this corner right now. They've managed to, but Striker Kai and low HP does have this recovery drone. and immediately healed all the way back up. Has the flip. There's the pass to Ashy Burb and a nice strike shot to save it away, but the primary sent too early. And look at this, Dragon Bite with the perfect 3-0 sweep. We'll be moving on to the finals and play the winner of Fluffy Fiesta versus Gas Leak, which is going to be our next match.
Excellently played there. That damage really did come through towards the end, where even if it wasn't constant KOs, it was still a huge source of pressure. And even when the damage wasn't the coup de grace of the round that, oh, well, we've gotten 2 KOs. In fact, we saw it was Second Wind that got multiple KOs in one round. But even with that double KO round, they were not able to pull through, unfortunately, here. But Dave showing some great midfield presence. Striker Kai, both offensive and defensively, doing a great job for their team. But the side of Second Wind also had some very good defense there. Light Sky was doing some great things in the midfield, even when Name Chaotic was getting pummeled with damage. Did a great job keeping the round alive for their team until something could come up. But unfortunately, the come up here is for the side of Dragonbite as they will advance in this bracket.
That's right. Of course, Striker Kai credited with MVP for that match. 247 redirects, over 100 more than any of their teammates, Ashy Verb and Dave. That's just what Kai does. Give Kai chrono boost, give Kai explosive entrance, give him size, and let him just absolutely control the midfield. And that's what we saw the whole game. Able to score goals themselves, able to pass it up to Ashy Verb. Just an amazing performance from them, of course. Credited with 3 goals and 3 assists, the most of anyone in that game in terms of assisting their forward strikers. So great play from Dragonbite. And I think they have a strong opportunity in the finals if Kai isn't banned away from them.
It is an interesting proposition with that Kai ban, though, because we did see Kai get hit with a little bit of stagger nerfs. And one of the two teams, Fluffy Fiesta, is known for playing a very damage style with things like Finny goalie, Vice goalie. So if that's who they end up against, maybe that Kai won't need to get banned. He will just explode to the just raw amount of damage. But right now, I believe we are going to Gas Leak versus Fluffy Fiesta, where Gas Leak, the map pick is in process, but the teams there being Spartan, Wiggly Wobbly, and Crimbus for the side of Gas Leak, a very balanced style comp. I feel like they don't have that sort of we're looking for a ton of damage, we're looking to just kill you out the gate and then shake hands and say this is our goal now. But they do have a lot of options there. And Fluffy Fiesta, like we said earlier, a lot of damage on that side. And depending on the starting awakenings, could be very scary.
That's right. It looks like our first map will be Atlas's Lab, of course, another classic map, and one that's rotated back in during this micro patch, if I'm not mistaken. Although I might be because I don't know how to read. But that being
Well,
said,
it's only been a couple days.
yeah. But we'll have to see. I mean, of course, this map obviously very popular in the competitive scene and one known for a lot of damage. You know, you talk about damage, and if there is a comp similar to last game, of course, you know, like that Finny, like that Zentara, we'll see a lot of damage output on here. And if Kazan isn't banned, I am a little bit worried for both of these teams here. Of course, with the 2 barriers being circles and on each side of the map, it's so easy to split the difference and just sit in the middle with Kazan and just go fishing, have a good day at the beach.
Well, you mentioned Kazan, but it's actually the side of Gas Leak that I would be interested to see because they, I don't think, would be Ben Kazan because Crimbus has been playing a lot of Kazan lately in the queues from what I've seen. So that is a character they may be looking to play here, but they've also been on the Zentara and Rasmus, also very damage heavy picks. So there may come an opportunity if, let's say, Kazan is banned, they might be able to snatch that Zentaro up and take away 2 damage options for the price of kind of nothing. But on the side of damage, Wiggly Wobbly also with Juno getting that buff on some kill power there. Maybe this could turn into a damage comp. But with Spartan being that sort of hold it down style goalie, I think they are looking for more of that balance. Like you said, let Kazan or maybe a Dash Awakening Zentara sort of sit in that midfield, like pop the black hole, and let them really just cause terror with those abilities. But on the other side with Fluffy Fiesta, we already mentioned Cat Kupo being known for great offensive presence. But if there does come a situation where maybe we don't see a damage comp, I could see them going onto the Mako. We did see that in KG5 against Down Underscore. They did pull out the Mako. So that could be a pick that they have in the back pocket here. And Tempo Melon, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen them play a character and been like, that was bad. They are just so talented on so many strikers. Like, it's really hard to tell who they would want to pick. but I could see Rasmus be a pickup here, as that is one of Crimbus's other options that may be a deny that we could see there, and a striker that they are very talented on. And Expo that's the IME player. If there was an IME player in this bracket, that's the one
Yep.
I'm looking at here. However, with that in mind, one tricks typically I feel do tend to get banned out a little bit. So if we do see that band, we have seen them play. They played Finney in Otten City Underground, I believe, last week. So we may see a type of composition where Cat Kupo goes onto that Vice and gives the Finney to Expo Chan, and then Tempo just sort of takes their pick of the litter of, well, how do I want to kill you?
That's right. That will be important, of course. Stacks and on stacks and extra special are going to be those first two starting
Ooh,
awakenings as we try to prep the lobby. But anything interesting coming out from these awakenings?
I mean, the extra special that if we do see that Vice pickup, that's just so much damage, so much pressure. I mean, also really favoring that extra special. The stacks on stacks, it's a little difficult to pick that if you're the side of Gas Leak, especially if they do go that damage composition. But should the damage be a little low, we could see rounds going a little bit longer and more opportunities to stack that up. A character like Juno with that special having a great way to get a ton of stacks just piled up quickly. And if we see something like that Zentaro or Kazan, that's again a ton of hitboxes that give you those stacks pretty early. It would just be the question of whether or not we see Spartan on that Dubu looking for those extra special tofu fortresses, just, hey, you guys got to get out of here. Or maybe if the damage is too high, we could even potentially see that Atlas pick up again and something like stacks on stacks to give them a little more presence in the midfield. Or if they feel really defensive, they could even grab that extra special just to keep their team alive a little bit more. But at the same time, we're kind of just waiting for the picks to come out. With so many damage comps that we've seen, actually, is there anything in particular that you are perhaps worried about where there's so much damage coming out? Is it too volatile where if you don't get those damage awakenings, it could be bad for you? Or do you think the damage is kind of just a consistent, we at least have our game plan of target somebody, get them out, figure it out from there? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think sort of the awakenings come into play a lot with that. And I mean, of course, we see teams nowadays consistently putting out damage. We saw last game double Era Beam after double Era Beam just continuously happening. But with the extra special, I feel like that's where things get scary. We see a lot of times kickoff goals almost being scored and barriers being taken just because all of a sudden you have an IME turret that's shooting it into your barriers and it's just stuck in the corner. You have to go there, you take all this damage. You're playing against Mako, you get put in literal jail multiple times over and
Yeah,
over. You want to put the core there? It's in. If you can find the right barrier and you play that aggressive Mako, or even if you do play it as a forward in midfield, we see where just CDR awakenings, ones that can give you more abilities, become so prevalent and so volatile and really can turn the tide of a game, in my opinion.
absolutely. But right now, as we wait for this, one thing that we definitely will see come up is with this extra special start, specialized training could be something that's very highly contested between both the forwards. I wouldn't say so much the midfields because Wiggly Wobbly being that Juno player, but we have seen them on the Drakkar and the Now before. And if they are scared of damage, having that Now, maybe something like Heavy Impact could be a good deny from the Vice, while also giving themselves that extra cooldowns. Like you mentioned, having more cooldowns just to stay alive. But there's a certain point where I worry that you're playing not to win, but just to not lose, not to die instantly. And finding that balance is going to be very important for these teams.
Oh, that's right. Looks like we will be getting these teams readying up here very shortly. But as you know, whoever wins this one moves on to the finals to play Dragon Bite. Of course, the match that we just watched. And both of these teams are no joke. I mean, they have some heavy hitters in it, as we clearly saw last time. Uh, if you do manage to win finals, you get to be the 17th seed that starts in loser's side, which means that you have the final shot at a chance, at a possibility, at an opportunity to maybe make NASL, which, of course, obviously, that's going to happen for whichever team wins.
Any opportunity is one you're going to have to take. But right now, we are just waiting on production here. As one thing that I'm interested in here, you mentioned those orb awakenings last
Oh,
game.
yes.
And we never really got to touch on that. So let's touch on that for a little bit. With Otten City being in ranked, that's one thing. But here, I don't believe we have Otten City as a pickable map. So the value of those orbs goes down just a little bit. But at the same time, on a map like Atlas Lab, where you will be playing those sort of lanes where the orbs do exist, that could be a pickup, or even just for the goalies. If we have somebody like Spartan starting on stacks and then getting Orb Dancer, that's so much presence that they are now able to unlock to allow
Yeah.
their team to succeed here. But something like Orb Ponderer also could be interesting because if you get that on the side of Fluffy Fiesta and you have something like that Vice goalie, that's so many abilities just to pump out damage. And anytime you think that, oh, my stagger's finally coming back up, no, it's not. Get hit with a power cord. So those could be really interesting to see here, but they could also be a trap as when you go against KO comps, they become almost sort of like an objective, right?
Yeah.
Where they're not quite as valuable as locks per se, but if you go to take that orb and you aren't careful, something like a Zentaro dash could come and just take your life off the map. So that's something that you really have to be careful about. You can't be predictable about when you're grabbing those orbs. So personally, I'm glad those are back in rotation, but they do add a sort of like a mini game to the game. So right
Yeah,
now
it's
we
like
are just
a dunk tank almost. You want to try to hit
yeah,
them as hard as you can and drop them into the water. Maybe if you're playing Inkies into the water, but for everyone else, just off the map. And I think the rebalance of them is pretty good as well. We saw the max stacks of both of them change from 10 to 5, which 10 was absolutely ridiculous. Um, and of course, all the effects now are slightly reduced as you can only get 5 max stacks. So I think they won't have necessarily as much impact as they have in the past. But that being said, I mean, I'm always a fan of Orb Awakenings. I think they're a lot of fun to play with, and I love getting Kai Goalie, getting Orb Dancer, and just flying around the map
oh
without,
yeah.
even without eject button. It's still fun. Don't even need it. But I believe we're waiting on one more player to ready. We did our ping checks. Everyone's getting locked in for semifinals, which I suppose just is Launchpad 2.5.
Right. Semifinals, round one, every round matters. It's hard to put a number on them. But right now, we have a timer ticking down on when this game is going to start. The ping checks have been done. Like you said, we are going to be on Dallas server, I believe is why we had to check that, is because there were a few West players in here. So we had to see which server was working the best. But now, with that confirmed, we will be going to Dallas. We will be on Atlas Lab. And with stacks on stacks and extra special as our awakenings, we've already talked about some of the picks that we're looking to see. We'll just have to see how those come online and how they approach this draft.
That's right. Well, both teams going to be picking here, and we'll have to see what they opt for. You see the Estelle hover from Wiggly Wobbly. Estelle, a very powerful character on this map that ranged with the piercing shot can be so important. If they do decide to lock it down, we'll have to see what these two bans are from each team. Looks like we will see the Aimi ban coming out, of course, likely targeting Expo Chan. Fair enough there. And the second ban, this one from Fluffy Fiesta, will be Kazan. So, two characters we talked exclusively and extensively about during our little pre-show era there. And we will see the strikers locked in for Gas Leak, Atlas, Rasmus, and Estelle. And I believe for Fluffy Fiesta, yeah, Vice, Finny, and Rasmus. So this is going to be a game that hurts a lot, and you'll be looking out a lot for Spartan's ultimate. Will they be able to use that to heal, or will the damage from Fluffy Fiesta be too much to handle? We'll have to see.
With 5 stacks on stacks being picked and 1 extra special, the extra special being in the hands of Cat Kupo, we will have to see if these players can keep those stacks alive along with their dreams of being in this bracket. But like you said, even if they get through here, we do have the winner's final side where the winning team here will be fighting against Dragonbite, a team that showed a very confident performance. And whether or not this team can go against them, however, I do believe that Dragonbite has some history with Fluffy Fiesta, so I believe Fluffy Fiesta is most likely trying to win this one to get that run back against them. As right now, Crimbus is running into the blast zone, a huge supernova taking them out. And with only 1 lock available, but 3 players on this offense, we'll have to see if this power play can come alive.
Yeah, there's the attempt. Expo Chan finds that KO for the second, and Tempo Melon with the pendulum swing off the bottom. The bread and butter coming out from Fluffy Fiesta. And this is what you expect to see from a team like this. explosive energy. As soon as there's a KO, this gas leak defense is going to be ignited.
Ignition, we need to put pedal to the metal here because you really don't want to lose this first set against a damage comp. And right now it is looking like the damage comp is the one that's going to be taking it ahead with both of these barriers already gone. A great save, however, but with it going into that top side, these rounds are just so fast. That was what, a 16-second round? These, like, with the damage coming out and them having the pressure to just get it through, this feels like a dominating performance for the side of Fluffy Fiesta.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Spartan has 8 stacks right now. He has 8 pancakes after 2 entire points of being goalie. It's not that he's not defending. It's just that he's not getting the chance to. The barriers are being taken away so much by these different abilities. We see Kakupo with the flip expo chain getting close. Crimbus on low HP almost gets taken out by these Finny abilities. And Crimbus, the damage being stacked on them. Kakupo able to save it away from the Rose Warp, using the core flip to pass it, but a nice strike shot from Spartan will help Crimbus secure that second barrier, and the Supernova on that extra special putting in work right now. The core flip coming out from Expo Chan, waiting out all the abilities, and one barrier falls now for Gas Leak. The second one able to be saved in the stun with the Oni's Blade coming out from Crimbus. A nice attack there, and that's one thing you'll see against the goalie like Vice that doesn't necessarily have creations. Stun them when the core gets close, and that's going to be one of your primary scoring methods.
That was a fantastic stun, like you said, and that may be one of the ways that they're looking to get around this damage, is it going for goals like that where they can coordinate a pass into a stunning ability just to get these goals before their team gets sent to the Shadow Realm. But right now that flip has also been made gone, as now they no longer have that. So with that no longer available, the black hole is coming up. However, that is a huge source of damage, like you mentioned. And right now, Tempo Melon trying to make a source of goals for their team, but just not quite able to get it, as Crimbus is now on the offensive here. Gets that first lock. We'll have to see if they can get a second one, and they can, as now this core drifts into the midfield here. Wiggly Wobbly's looking a little low, and the pressure is rising.
Yeah, we see Tempo Melon reading this excellently, just slightly misspaced on that goal from them. Wiggly Wobbly looking for the pass, but there's just so many things to get through. You have to get past the Expo Chan, who isn't even the goalie, but it sure feels like it, in the power chord ripped away. Tempo Melon again burns both abilities, not able to get it through this defense, and a nice read there, able to shoot it into the bottom corner. That last second redirect will take the first set. And Fluffy Fiesta, things are looking good for them right now. They get their first picks, specifically on Tempo Melon, and that Orb Dancer is up. We'll have to see if they opt for that or something else.
This is looking like pure comfort for them. You mentioned the Orb Dancer, but what I'm curious about is this Orb Ponderer. A huge source of cooldown reduction for the Atlas, and it does get taken here, but giving up Stinger in the process, not going to the Zentaro, that is a huge source of damage. Bulk Up also a source and a little bit of survivability, but with Adrenaline Rush being picked up, we see the game plan here. We know what's going on. The Among Titans, perhaps it will give them a little more midfield presence, but it might also make Crimbus a bigger target here. As we look at the rest of this draft, the stacks on stacks, like you mentioned, just going away. We don't really have any ways to protect those other than that bulk up coming out here. But I'm hoping that with that extra speed, perhaps that maneuverability around some of these abilities that are causing all of this damage. But right now, the defense is looking fantastic, and even the offense swapping it up there with a great eject button in and eject button out. It seems like even without damage, they still just have the core control and the presence on this map to dominate it. But with a great save that turns into disaster as both barriers go down, one left for the side of Fluffy Fiesta. Can Gas Leak turn this around, or is the only thing being turned around their car is they have to drive home away from this bracket?
Yeah, and you watch Spartan. Look at where he tries to clear it to. Every time it's so difficult, and
Whoa.
the piercing shot stuffs both defenders in the net for Fluffy Fiesta. Wiggly Wobbly with an excellent goal there. Like we mentioned earlier, that's how you have to get your goals. You need Kakupo not to be able to strike the core. Of course, both teams, excellent goalies, working to get it through. Kakupo drops one fairly early. Crimbus doesn't have the slice and dice up. So there's the core flip, looking to get it through, but once again, 2 defenders to get through. And we'll see some Finny and Rasmus abilities coming through to try to save and to try to make Spartans clear. So difficult. The piercing shot not finding its mark this time. But finding two of the defenders is Tempo Melon now getting chipped away with that core flip. First to burn it to evade, but still can't survive. It's Cat Kupo now trying to move past this power play. A nice clear, but a lot of abilities to come through. Both defenders in the net able to save it away. It's in the bottom. Crimbus loses the strike war. An excellent one from Expo Chan, burning their abilities. And there's the single barrier. This is looking good for Fluffy Fiesta if you're able to hold through all these Zentaro awakenings. You just have to be careful with where you're clearing it to. Oh, and the Rose Warp into the strike. The bread and butter for Wiggly Wobbly coming through. It's just so difficult to deal with if you're a goalie.
For sure, especially one that is fairly low mobility like Vice. She has mobility in that blink, but outside of that, she doesn't really have a way to cover both sides of the goal other than maybe a power cord. But I also want to comment on the positioning from the side of Gasleak has been great on this offense when they're allowed to live. But right now with Crimbus tagged and that ultimate coming through, taking out Wiggly Wobbly. You know, it doesn't matter if their positioning is great on offense if they never get to run it. But right now this core flip is being ran through and not able to get anything. A second one comes out and a great primary to be a second strike there against Cat Kupo. Right now Crimbus going for an attempt and not quite able to find it as this core is drifting back. We see potentially more damage coming out, but Wiggly Wobbly able to survive, not getting hit by that. But so much pressure mounting on the side of Fluffy Fiesta as they go into this goal box.
Oh, and Crimbus used to strike slightly too early. Both of them stuck in the net right now. The passing play between Expo Chan and Tempo Melon will be coming through. And there's the ult. Spartan has to avoid it, which makes him just that much slower. Not able to get to that core there. An excellent offensive play coming out from Fluffy Fiesta. But Gasleak is up in this set right now, 2-1 still. 1 point away from tying up this game. Cat Kupo loses the barrier for that KO attempt off rip, but I like the mix-up on the kickoffs from this team.
For sure, the kickoffs have definitely... I like that they have not felt stale at all. It always feels like there is something you have to watch out for. A player doing something that you have to be careful about, just as we have to be careful of these core flips that are available. Cat Kupo having one of their own, sends it flying topside, but into the hands of the wrong team, unfortunately. But this does create a situation where Wiggly Wobbly is very low. We're looking perhaps for Erasmus Death Touch here to seal the deal. But right now, Expo Chan is trying to seal the deal on this goal, but with a flip coming out from Spartan, lots of abilities have been burned. Wiggly Wobbly is not on great health, so even though you're on this offense, how do you get this through when you have nothing backing you up?
Yeah, ooh, almost winning the strike war off that center there, exploding. And a strike war coming through, almost winning again, and Crimbus gets the better of Expo Chan. A nice find from them, able to take this set. And you know, these players, a little backstory on them. Gasleak is actually a full collegiate team. Crimbus going to RIT, whereas Wiggly and Spartan go to GMU. I believe are teammates on the same team. So, of course, you have that chemistry between goalie and forward on that Zentaro, who will be getting Catalyst. And another Atlas Twin Drive pickup. Second game in a row. That's a very strong awakening for Atlas, if not the best in slot.
This does lead to a situation, though. It is definitely a great awakening on Atlas, but with that Orb Ponderer, that's a potential way to stack up those charges while the play is not on their side. So that could be so much defensive prowess there. A great combination pickup. But right now, that Catalyst, like you said, you mentioned the chemistry from this team having played together, but right now we'll have to see if that can act as the Philosopher's Stone here, giving them the energy they need to create opportunities. But right now it is Expo Chan creating a goal for their team. The hotshot pickup is great. That draft looks amazing for the side of Gasleak, but they are down 0-1 in this set as Missile Prop, Rampage, and Quick Strikes being the pickups for Fluffy Fiesta. Definitely also fantastic slot-ins there. We'll have to see whether or not the pickups of Catalyst and Hotshot can help in this midfield and scoring attempts versus... We'll have to see if something can keep them alive at this point. The flip comes out just for survivability. Crimbus is on a lifeline here. Spartan maybe has an ult soon. Maybe has to get some orbs to charge up that ult. It's a huge cooldown. The Twin Drive comes out. That's another huge cooldown gone. This is so scary.
Yeah, Spartan definitely not feeling that synergy as their entire team is taken off the map. And the goal being stuffed in yet again from Tempo Melon. She's doing such a good job in this midfield. And now is stacking up those rampage stacks, 10% larger, and will only continue to grow throughout this set. Sort of a scaling for late game opportunity, but if you just have explosive kickoffs like this, you don't even need the late game scaling.
So much pressure going out here. One barrier down for both sides. Wiggly Wobbly with not a lot of energy to their name. We'll have to see whether or not they can survive just off of this Among Titans. Crimbus looking rather low yet again, has been tagged. We'll have to see if that damage comes out or if they're focusing more on this barrier here, this opportunity to get the point. Right now, Expo-chan is looking a little low. That could be an opportunity for the side of Gasleak if they can secure this kill, but with the orb going to them and some good positioning, taking themselves out of the play so that they can survive. It's looking like Crimbus is the next one that's about to go out of this play. If they have anything to say about it, though, the misdirection comes out and not quite able to find it. But with both barriers still up, health bars still down, it's curious to see how they're going to be able for either side to make a crack in this defense when both side has players that are just constantly dying.
Ooh, and I like this mix-up from Wiggly Wobbly there. Not finding its mark, but instead Spartan scoring from downtown, that overtime point with this extended distance from strike shot. Finds the center of the net. And you know, that's something that's difficult to deal with Vice. The core can just go in. That's why you see these teams working so hard to keep both their barriers up. Spartan, of course, has more abilities to deal with that, but Kakupo really just has to predict with the primary and hope that she gets it right. Here we see Crimbus looking for this 1v3 in the corner here. Finds the ult. The core flip, though, from Expo-chan. Saves it away and almost a double barrier, but Spartan on top of that one with that core flip. Trying to use these primaries offensively, and unfortunately, the Expanse not doing its job. The barrier still goes down. And now Tempo Melon is just sitting on Spartan with this core flip, waiting to win a strike war, to stun the goalie. Just looking for that pass forward. If the Fluffy Fiesta defense is able to pass it up to Tempo Melon, surely we see the end of this set. So we'll see another Awakening draft soon if they're able to get it, but Tempo Melon forced to come back and save it. The core almost drifting in. Expo-chan looking to pass it off that corner. But now Kakupo in a scary situation, just timing all of these strike wars to perfection as finally that second barrier falls. The offense of Gasleak doesn't have a lot of abilities to work with. But there's the pass to Tempo Melon, so many abilities, and now Wiggly Wobbly. Low HP, might have to join Crimbus off the map. And the crossplayers are so scary once again. Now it's all three strikers in the advantage. There's the strike shot and the core flip not needed. Spartan runs out of abilities. And Fluffy Fiesta able to take another set. One set away from joining Dragon Bite in the finals.
This is so much pressure that is coming out. The damage seems infinite. We saw there where Crimbus had a flip, but just never was given the chance to. It's not like they don't want to use it, they just aren't allowed. As right now, we do see some pretty interesting awakenings here. We do see that specialized training available, but it is the heavy impact that will come out here. We'll have to see whether or not that specialized training does go to the Rasmus there. Those death touches are going to be even better at killing. Team player is an interesting pickup here. You know, you would think maybe something like Monumentals or Siege Machine at first glance to try to put pressure on the barriers with those ultimates. But here they're looking more for the passing plays and using those ultimates to apply damage to the enemy team to keep up with their game plan, but also give them that sort of lifeline in the midfield to say, we need this core out of here, let's get it out.
That's right, and we've seen how Tempo Melon's able to control the game and the pace of the game. There's an example there, but the power chord from Kakupo ends up sending it into their own net. That's a little unfortunate and one of the pitfalls of a character like Vice. However, we see them stacking damage so much, and with heavy impact, you do not want to get hit by that secondary.
Absolutely not. But the secondary, on the topic thereof, for Wiggly Wobbly is a little sad after that draft because we had to give the aerials to Crimbus to give them a dash awakening, to give them more pressure. We've shown that their collapses have been great, but that would be just another way that they can really enforce their game plan. As they get that top barrier in a similar fashion, the burst is used as a little bit of a panic option there. Nothing was really coming to them, but at the same time, sometimes you just gotta survive. But with the secondary coming out, it is Crimbus that is headed out as they die once more to the pressure of Kakupo and Expo-chan just applying so much damage. Oh my goodness, the death touch yoinks the goalie out of the way. No energy available for Spartan. That was some great awareness, and with that specialized training pickup, we might see more of that, as that's just so much knockback that you suddenly have to deal with. And since you're not a goalie that has a dash, and you have to be positioned for things like your secondary and your primary, one slight pull can pull you out of your chance of saving the goal.
That's right. And Tempo Melon, an absolute threat in the offense and defense alike, looking to use that death touch to pass it once again. It feels like Spartan's only defense against this is that secondary, which does have max Orb Ponderer stacks. But the recovery drone keeps them alive. It doesn't matter. Wiggly Wobbly gets stuffed out by that pendulum swing. An excellent play there, and that's that damage coming through from that Finny. We haven't talked about it too much, but Stinger on Finny, it's so hard.
It's nerfed, but it's not nothing, that's for sure. As the damage continues to pile up here. We see this a lot where Expo Chain will create a situation where it's in the pocket and eject button in to slam that ultimate. And then you're just stuck in a horrible situation where you have to evade to clear. But if you evade too early, your life is taken instead of the barrier. So now, we did see Spartan use that recovery drone to keep their stacks online. But even with those stacks online, the only thing that's online right now is the health bar of Crimson going back up slowly with that orb finally getting a little bit of a bandage on that wound. But without Atlas, something to protect them, and there we see it. That pull, once again, just taking Spartan just out of position. That felt almost like a play from somebody like Thresh out of League of Legends. Pull them in and then flay them. That was just so good by Tempo Melon there. And their team of Fluffy Fiesta in a pretty dominating performance. There were some good plays by the side of Gas Leak. I cannot count them out of that one, but that was just so, the pressure was rising, and at the end of the day, the bottle popped, as it is the lives of Gas Leak that were popped from all of that damage. And now we will see Fluffy Fiesta against Dragon Bite in that winner's side. But honestly, a great game. Even though there was so much damage, we saw some great opportunities by Gas Leak there, but the scaling was just a little too much, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. We saw, of course, Tempo Melon, the name that will surely be ringing through the heads of Gas Leaks as they watch this next match. Able to do so much with that Rasmus, have so much control. You know, we talk about goalies like Atlas being able to just put down an ability and having to deal with it, right? Tempo Melon able to find those death's touch, able to find the pendulum swing that was so big it went past Atlas being pulled from the death's touch. I mean, that's just the impact a core control character like Rasmus has, and especially one piloted by someone as talented as Tempo Melon. An excellent performance from them, and Cat Kupo and Expo Chan sealing the deal as well, with just an immense amount of damage and support behind so many of those plays. Able to keep up the pressure, able to keep the core in those awkward angles that ultimately led to their victory.
A great performance. I couldn't have said it better. However, we do have an interesting situation. This is a run back from Launchpad 1, where in top 16, Dragonbite won the game over Fluffy Fiesta and knocked them out, but they weren't able to qualify. So they are here once more in this last chance qualifier, this last game of it, where, like you said, they will be 17th seed loser's side. And whichever team wins, like you said, is at least guaranteed an NAST spot. So that tier 3 run by, I believe Seraphim is running that. This is a big game to win, and you only get one chance. I believe this one is also a best of one. So one shot,
Right.
one opportunity. Can you make that dream come to life?
We will have to see. We're going to hop into a quick break while we do some production things on our end, but don't go for too long. Dragonbite Fluffy Fiesta up next. We'll see you in a little bit. Welcome back to Launchpad 2.5. This is, of course, the LCQ for Liftoff. Of course, as you watched earlier, Dragon Bite and Fluffy Fiesta are going to be in these finals. And Dendar, we have an absolute match on our hand on Clarion Test Chamber.
Absolutely. We saw two somewhat dominating performances from these teams. They both played exceptionally well. We'll just have to see which one can come out on top here. As what do you think between these two teams? Is there one that you're particularly looking at here? Because right now I've got my money on Fluffy Fiesta.
Okay, well, I have to have my money on Dragon Bite then, right? We
Of
gotta,
course.
both sides gotta gamble their bestie bucks to make it even. That's how the market works. But I believe Dragon Bite has banned Aimee and Fluffy Fiesta banned Kai. So Striker Kai will force to be Striker somebody else as they took that away. We talked about earlier, potentially that being banned away. And fair enough. If someone has their Striker's name in their actual username, they're probably pretty good at it.
Well, I've seen some of Striker Kai's gameplay, and they have a notable Drakkar as well, as that could be very good here. As when we look at the start here, we've got Clarion Test Chamber. This was indeed Dragon Bite's pick here for the map, and with Catalyst and Heavy Impact, the picks from Dragon Bite making some good sense here. The Finny being taken away from Cat Kupo, or even Expo Chain. You really don't want to die here, especially in this last most important best of one game.
That's
But
right.
Estelle and Rasmus, a great forward duo for making the midfield just come alive and making opportunities wherever you go. But Fluffy Fiesta, however, has picked up Vice Zentaro Drakkar. Drakkar being a character, that heavy impact, great just for cooldowns, but also great for damage. Zentaro heavy impact, I mean, we've seen that one before. Like, hard to deny Zentaro that. And then Vice probably also taking heavy impact there, as they're looking most likely to capitalize on some of these more closed variations of Clarion Test Chamber, such as Project Maelstrom, or even the side streets where a hidden Drakkar in the side street can just blast you off the side with that heavy impact. But Catalyst also a very notable awakening because it makes kind of any character feel like they just have so much going for them. But that previous game, we saw that the Catalyst wasn't enough, so we'll have to see if it's enough in this game. As we've got Ashy Burb on the Estelle, Striker Kai on the Rasmus, Dave on the Finny. As we wait to see the picks for Fluffy Fiesta, I believe it should be Cat Kupo on Vice, Tempo Melon on Zentaro, and we do see Expo Chan on the Drakkar here, taking that from Striker Kai. Striker Kai on the Rasmus here. Not a pick I'm familiar with from them, but I have no doubt that they'll be able to pull through here just on their base skill alone. But whether that's enough to take out this team that just showed us a dominating performance is a different story.
Yeah, this is truly going to be a game of patience, having to try to get it past both these goalies and making sure you time your strikes right. Of course, we've seen so many times both these teams just win strike wars. I know it's the name of the game, but by God, these teams are good at it. Here we see the offense trying to find things right now. We see the three strikers. Striker Kai almost taken off the map right now. Low HP, won't be able to get that orb and dies with that energy burst. There, Tempo Melon has it. And an interesting awakening pick between these two teams, of course. We see Dragon Bite, all three Catalyst players, whereas only Tempo Melon has it for the side of Fluffy Fiesta. So we're going to expect a lot of KOs coming out from this red side as we see another one, except this time on Expo Chan themselves. Striker Kai has the opportunity to find things here. The Crystal Thorns not working out in their favor. Tempo Melon just trying to get the core up to them. Might have the opportunity to stuff it, and Cat Kupo hit away by that pendulum swing from Striker Kai. And look at the angle of the piercing shot. Pixel perfect off the top corner. An easy way for Dragon Bite to get their first point.
Those rounded corners can sometimes create angles that you're not quite expecting, but Ashy Burb seemed like they were expecting that one as they secure that goal for their team. As right now they're looking to take the second barrier here, but the Crystal Thorns not quite enough. One thing I want to point out here is you made a good point of Tempo Melon being the only one to take Catalyst on their team. However, Heavy Impact is a pretty good Zentaro Awakening. Perhaps they value having somebody to contest energy awakenings like Quick Strikes so that they don't get run over in energy economy. But the pickup of Catalyst on all three for Dragon Bite, I think, makes sense here. because even though heavy impact is good on some of these characters, all of that extra energy is going to help you survive against the onslaught that is Fluffy Fiesta.
And not only survive, as you mentioned, but also thrive. Of course, Vice, the goalie, can't really deal with core flips that well. The core just drifts past you. We've seen it happen just with that Finny ultimate ability. And there's one barrier taken right away. But you really have to be careful of these flips. You see Tempo Melon fishing for that double barrier. Tries to dash through. An excellent save, but at the cost of the life of Striker Kai. We're now one barrier coming off the map. Into the strike war with the Crystal Thorns, about to send it back into their own net, but thankfully teleports back as Striker Kai will come back and replace the void as previously filled with Ashy Burb. And a nice angle. Cat Kupo not able to get to it. Dave's second barrier does fall. And there are two core flips, now one on the offense for Dragon Bite.
Amazing patience there by Tempo Melon, waiting out the evade before going for that flip kill. As the flip does, I mean, it does apply some damage and gives you some good knockback. So maybe they're using that to create opportunities to secure kills. But right now with that eject button, the goal has been secured for the side of Dragon Bite. Dave finding a great angle there to send it in away from the eject button spawn, creating an opportunity for their team where they now have the advantage 1-0 up in this set. And as we get into this Awakening draft, we see some very heavy hitters here, things like the Deadeye, and even Adrenaline Rush if you're looking for that KO style of gameplay. Might of the Colossus, a slight nerf. We'll have to see where the picks go, but with a 1-2-1 draft, it's a little scary because you feel like you won the draft, but they get 2 picks before your second pick, so it's a little difficult there. And we do see Zentaro putting on his mask, but team player going to Jakar there. That could create some great opportunities here, but Deadeye, extra special pickup. Deadeye probably a deny, but extra special also going to be tough to deal with there, as the last Awakening picked up is just a simple peak performance. But with those momentum boots, that speed will start stacking and give Dave the opportunity to create a lot of pressure. And with these large circular AoEs, able to cover so much space on this Atlas variant, where you only have real one lane to go through and you don't really have a passing lane. So that'll give Dave a lot of opportunities here. But right now, the power play is giving them the opportunity on the side of Fluffy Fiesta, but they haven't been able to make much of it here. One barrier down for them. Striker Kai still has a flip available. Tempo Melon, a little pressure applied to them, but Tempo Melon now having a flip of their own. When Striker Kai is down, this could be a huge tempo swing, even with their second barrier going down here.
I love how Dave is playing this, just pushed so far up and able to save anything that comes their way. Just simply taking a 1v1 with Cat Koopa while the rest of their team gets obliterated, but the flip comes out to save it. But at what cost? That cost is both of their barriers. It's now a scary situation for Fluffy Fiesta. Cat Koopa narrowly avoiding those Crystal Thorns. With that goal and the slice and dice not coming through just yet. There's the pass up. Tempo Melon can't get a piece of it. Now has a piece and now has the core flip to work with. The power cord trying to pass it up to Tempo Melon. Pendulum swing being blocked away, and now here's the core flip shot bottom corner, blocked away once again by Cat Kupo, and the core threads the needle for Dragon Bite. And a nice shot there from Striker Kai.
An excellent strike, but a great collapse by Ashy Burb as well. Let's not count them out. Should that shot have not been as pixel perfect as it was, they were there to back up with the primary on Expo Chan there. So great team play there. But one thing I want to point out here is Cat Kupo is doing something that I love, which they're playing so patiently when it comes to the Estelle. Where the first time they waited it out and had a great opportunity, saved their barrier, and then the second time they just slammed the strike, get it past the Crystal Thorns. But right now they have to get it past Dave in this 3v1 power play. Striker Kai has come back, but nothing has really come of it yet, as now possession is in the hands of Striker Kai and Ashy Burb. But with the primary going awry from Ashy Burb, Striker Kai looking a little dead. We'll have to see with this power play coming back to life what they can get out of it.
Yeah, looking a lot dead now as Dave just narrowly gets that one put past them. The slice and dice and the passive strike is just too much from Tempo Melon. Secures the second point of this set. And that's something to look out for. This explosive nature from Fluffy Fiesta is what we saw last game. And one of the reasons they were able to take out Ghastly. As soon as you get a KO, they capitalize. And so taking these quick barriers is going to be super important for the team of Dragon Bite. And we see it happening a lot. Dave playing the super aggressive goalie, able to push all the way up and just win 1v1s against Cat Kupo. The real struggle comes when all these players are grouped together, and you have to try to use those Finny abilities to get it past 2, maybe 3 players with that eject button when it's in your net.
With Tempo Melon having all of this size and in the net, we'll have to see if they can convert, like you were saying, or whether or not this defense from Dave will hold it down. Their positioning, you've kind of nailed it on the head, has been fantastic, allowing them to save things that look almost impossible, especially against this caliber of player. But right now, with Cat Kupo moving in, Dave still is unflinching. But Tempo Melon has a flip available. Striker Kai has one to potentially get it to them. This is very difficult. Ashibird with just a primary sends it in. Cat Kupo not evading there. A great placed primary by Ashibird sends it in, giving them a lead 2-1 in this set. If this goes 2-0, there's still the opportunity for damage to scale, but this is looking great for the side of Dragon.
It sure is. I'm uncultured on the Dave lore, but oh my gosh, it feels like they're an NASL goalie with how they're playing right now. Dave locking it down and Ashibird doing a good job in this midfield. We've seen the piercing shot go through and some great passes up to Tempo Melon, or Striker Kai rather, on that Rasmus. A little bit of a mix up on those names there, but Ashibird taking some damage from Tempo Melon, getting absolutely dogged on right now as they have little energy. Have to try to make it work. Tempo Melon very low HP there. Crystal Thorns looking to pass it up, but a nice find. A beautiful pass off the back of Expo Chan. Finds the top corner. That Finny goalie just simply can't reach. And still has the core flip to potentially secure this set. We're tied now, 2-2.
This is definitely a critical round because with that core flip still available, like you said, that great shot allowed them to have this opportunity here. We've seen Tempo Melon take double barriers with a flip, and if you give them the opportunity to score with it, it's almost certainly going in. But right now, it is the side of Dragon Bite that has taken both barriers first. So even with that flip off the table now from Tempo Melon, they weren't able to convert anything quite yet. Expo Chan sending it a bit of an awkward angle there, but a great pickup by Cat Kupo. Cat Kupo has that flip available, but it doesn't solve that issue that we were talking about of Vice having that sort of limited range. It gives them some range around them, but it doesn't cover the other side. And if Striker Kai and Ashford keep playing like they are, this could be very deadly, especially with Cat Kupo having no energy now to really defend themselves.
Wonder down and very few awakenings left. There's that Molten Bolt coming out to try to keep things alive as Cat Kupo with very few abilities. With Tempo Melon, we see that Catalyst stacking up. And Striker Kai is on such low HP. They have the pressure. They have the abilities. All they need is to break that barrier and now score. And there's the core flip coming out bottom corner. An excellent Supernova, but the Crystal Thorns are too much. Somehow, some way, Dragon Bite takes the second set. It almost feels like robbery, but thankfully doesn't allow the reverse sweep to come out if you are a Dragon Bite fan, and now rewarded with potentially some strong awakenings here. Of course, Aerials being a huge pickup, if possible, for Ashibird, with that ultimate being able to stuff from even a further distance, instead denying the extra, or the specialized training rather, from Cat Kupo. You do not want extra special spec training coming out of the Vice.
This is a painful draft if you are the side of Dragon Bite, I feel. You deny the specialized training, but they get Stinger Prime Time. Those are going to be huge sources of damage and even some core control with that primary from Vice able to cover the other side a little bit better now. Jakar getting aerials is not what you want to see, especially when Expo Chan has already been covering the midfield so well. That's just more opportunities for them, but one less as they go down. No power play here, just a raw 2v2, looking like some tea time tussle fun times. But unfortunately, with both players down, we do see that Orb Ponder at 0 stacks so far. Dave not quite able to stack that up yet, but that extra presence will be able to help them. But at the moment, it looks like with this Awakening draft, you might need to give those orbs to your teammates just for them to survive. So at that point, how good is the Orb Ponderer doing you when you have somebody like Tempo Melon in your net ready to strike at any moment? And it feels like this entire game has just been one very long power play that ebbs and flows.
Sure does. And speaking of flips, Dave with one on top of their other defensive prowess should be able to save nearly anything that comes at their net, but an excellent shot there from Expo Chan with the lock and load, and Tempo Melon secures it. A great play with that environmental hazard, able to use that in the center to gain size with the aerials. That lock and load is so big and so hard to deny.
Absolutely hard to deny, especially with aerials giving them that size or distance now from that draft. It's going to, like we said earlier, Expo Chan able to hold down that midfield, but the killing opportunities are definitely there. We saw it last round, but even without the Project Maelstrom Orb, I feel like they're positioning themselves in ways where they can threaten it while also creating opportunities for their team to get it to Tempo Melon, who has the flip available, but is looking for a kill here, I feel, as they use flip to potentially get past Dave here, but it's actually Expo Chan. No flip needed, 2 flips burned, and 1 goal for the side of Fluffy Fiesta. I think the tide is turning a bit here, as we may see potentially a set 5 game if they continue to play like this, but with the Project Atlas coming out, we'll have to see if this one lane changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, a huge awakening draft from them could be the reason why we're seeing these points being taken. Look at Striker Kai, 10 seconds and almost deceased off the bottom of the map. Just having damage wailed on them over and over as one barrier finally falls. And a second one now. Great timing there from Dave. We'll lose one barrier, but maybe lock down the second for a little bit longer, as somehow, some way, these abilities are keeping it up. And Ashy Bird, perfect play. Piercing shot into the core flip. A guaranteed goal, unsavable no matter what, and an excellent play from them in the midfield and the forward position.
Absolutely. Estelle, one of those characters that can set up those sort of self-dribble plays with the primary that lead to opportunities like that. And with the flip coming out, a barrier goes down. Ashyberg maybe overextending just a little bit, maybe a little bit high off of their previous play there. Not quite able to get the barrier, but looking for an opportunity here as they do go down. But honestly, the Catalyst has been great for the side of Dragonbite. It feels like they have significantly more health than they should, and lots of kills coming out here, even without the heavy impact there. Ashyberg able to secure another one, and able to secure that barrier as well. Striker Kai's looking for the pass, but with that side street there, it's a little difficult. The Death Touch not quite able to make the passing play to themselves that they would like. But now it's interesting, this is almost like we have a forward Estelle and a Rasmus midfield that just sort of swap back and forth and create opportunities for each other.
I mean, that's certainly how it feels with all of the damage being put on the Striker Kai, as finally the barrier falls. Tempo Melon with a good read though. Expo Chan not able to get over there. But with the lock and load almost securing it, Dave has to be careful not to stand too close on the net there. Cat Kupo thankfully able to read this one and get back to it. Now there it is, the slice and dice coming through. Don't count Fluffy Fiesta out yet, because Tempo Melon just made a huge play.
Huge play and a huge draft coming into play here, as we see options like 1-2 punch and rapid fire coming up here. We know that the prime time is on Cat Kupo, so if that rapid fire can get to them, that is a huge point of contention that now Ashy Burp has to look at here. Quick strikes going to Tempo Melon, and with that catalyst, that's going to create so much energy in the hands of Tempo Melon, where they ended that last set with a flip, didn't even need to use it. So if you give them even more opportunities to be a bit more liberal with these flips, that could be a lot more goals and a lot more kills coming through. Even with things like Unstoppable, which was denied by Cat Kupo. A smart pick, I think, if they're trying to get these kills here. The Reptile Remedy, good at healing, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough compared to what they're dealing with. And of course, the stacks on Expo Chan. A great midfielder that is really going to be able to make use of those stacks and keep them up while keeping themselves up and not losing them. But right now with these barriers down, we'll have to see if they can keep this defense up, or whether or not this is going to be a quick goal for the side of Dragonbite.
That we will. There was a lot of abilities burned from Ashy Burb in a very short amount of time. Cat Kupo just doesn't have what they need to deal with it. It's so hard. You know, we see Tempo Melon picking up Quick Strike, getting that extra energy with that catalyst combined, but just not able to use it just yet in the set. You can see they're getting their core flip so quickly compared to their teammates. We're forced to evade, and Ashy Burb looking to push it forward. Striker Kai finds one barrier. Burning barriers, burning flips with barriers, honestly, a good call right now, because once that net is open, Vice has a lot to deal with. The piercing shot almost makes it through, but forced to burn the core flip. The goalie has no energy, so Ashy Bird might be able to take advantage of it, but the Unstoppable stack does come back up, and Tempo Melon is getting absolutely tossed around. We'll have to see how much longer Cat Kupo is able to hold for. 3 players fully staggered on Fluffy Fiesta's side of the map, and Dave is just sitting back and sitting pretty with this core flip. Should be able to hold on for a little while longer. As once again, these players are staggered in the misdirection from Dave, able to find the bottom corner. They can do it all, score and defend. 2-0 now and 1 point away from Dragonbite moving on and securing that 17th seed in NASL.
We see Ashibur pulling onto this flip, but it's so scary to have flip versus a team like this because that means you don't have an evade. You get a one opportunity and then that's it. So if you keep that evade up, you won't have the opportunity to flip, but if you flip, you're the next target. And once you get that flip, the hunt begins. One player down, Expo Chan able to get it to Tempo Melon, the flip available. The secondary not quite connecting there, but Dave valuing the flip as well as their Orb Ponderer stacks, recognizes I'm going to give up this goal to protect the resources that we have so that we can continue on the next round rather than trying to make a hero play and potentially making this game significantly harder for us.
And indeed, and we'll have to see if it pays off or if Fluffy Fiesta is able to come back. The damage being stacked now. Tempo Melon just sitting on top of the goalie. Able to find the core. There's the Crystal Thorns. A nice strike war win from Cat Kupo. What you need to keep things alive. There's the flip, but stunned away somehow. Dave is able to clear it, almost getting the KO. And there it is, Tempo Melon off the map. We're back to yet another 2v2, except this one surely favors Dragonbite. As now another KO from Ashibur. This rapid fire helping out so much, able to abuse those piercing shots, and the core narrowly missing its mark. Kakupo able to hold this barrier, but not for much longer. The pendulum swing from Kai comes out. Looking for the shot, burns the core flip. Ashibur also burns theirs. Tempo Melon has the opportunity to KO, but just can't find it. As Dave and Cat Kupo are locking it down. The missed core flip from Cat Kupo means Ashibur able to secure that. And sure enough, Dragonbite able to 3-1 this set and move on to Liftoff.
They played their lives excellently, and like you said, they will be your 17th seed in Liftoff, starting in loser side. But they are the winners of this last chance qualifier here, as they played that so well. They managed to stay alive. Ashibur and Striker Kai almost mind controlling the enemy, saying, yeah, come kill me, it'll be okay. And then all of a sudden their other teammate scores a goal, or Dave has that movement speed just to walk up. And like you said, they had so much presence on that map where they just said, you know what, my teammates are dead, I'll do it myself. So great performance by them. And honestly, from the side of Fluffy Fiesta, they played excellently too in all of the games that I saw. It just seems like Dragonbite here is our winners today.
That's right. This best of one format makes things difficult, but of course, you know, prior to really today, all of these teams were knocked out of Launchpad. So, you know, to get a shot to come back to make their way into Liftoff, I think is going to be exciting. And, you know, Dragonbite will have to make the God run moving forward if they want to continue playing in these very difficult tournaments with some very stacked teams. But if they keep playing like this, and if Dave is able to continually save the core as this Finny goalie, something we haven't seen pioneered too often, and to this level, I think we're in for a good season.
I think we're certainly in for a treat, but right now that is it for this last chance qualifier. No more games to be played, no more strikers left. But honestly, the games that we saw were some of the most high intensity games I've seen in a while. Like, it really felt like both sides always just really wanted that win and played excellently. But unfortunately, there's no more games to be played here today.
Sometimes you play all the Omega Strikers, you can. And today is one of those days, but of course you can still hit the queues, maybe run into one of these players. But, you know, I'm Tech. I'm joined with Dendar. Dendar, thank you for joining me today and hopping in. This has been a great time casting with you alike. Is there any final words you want to say before we hop off here?
All I can say in response is always a pleasure.
Great. Well, thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys soon. Peace.